Teach Radio. Teach2Teach Radio. Education for all, for all, for all. Education for all, for all.
Welcome to Teach2Teach Radio program. Today we'll be discussing the topic learning looks different for everyone. With me to do the discussion are
Tufelu Said from Vapel South Zion Primary School.
Idris Uhumu from Warabakoko Ahmadiyya Primary.
Ilyasu A. Sule, Pendul EA Primary.
And Yakub Mohammed Awal, Vapel South Primary.
I am your host, Alhaji Muhammad Al-Hassan Karimu. Let's start by looking at how teachers and parents can promote learning in our schools, looking at how we normally help these children to learn considering their background.
I think as teachers, we need to cater for, because there are different styles or different kinds of learners we meet in our various classrooms. So I think there are slow learners as well as high achievers. So we need to cater for all these learners to be able to understand the concept very well. That is, in a way, the slow learners, you can give remedial teaching or group them. The fast learners too, you can engage them in tougher tasks so that they will not disturb the class.
What I also think is, before parents should send a child to school, they have to know the child very well. And when they send the child to the school, they have to tell the teacher or the head teacher how the child behaves before the head teacher admit. And before the class teacher start teaching in the class, the teacher should know each individual in the class, the capabilities and the weakness. If the child is having visual problem or auditory problem, teacher should identify such children in the class and know how to arrange them in the class in order for them to absorb what he is to present to the class.
So if a teacher realizes that this child has a visual problem, it's up to you to tell, is it moderate, mild, or what have you. So for instance, if it is mild, like if she sits at the back, she cannot see, what should the teacher do?
The teacher will allow such child to come forward.
To come forward.
Yes.
Do you have such examples to give us?
Yes, I have one in my class.
Mm-hmm.
That child, when it's about 11 to 12 o'clock, the child cannot see very well due to the sun reflection. So I locate one seat in front of the class for such child.
Okay.
So during that time, the child will be able to see what I'm.
To add to what Master just said, I also have a student in my class who finds it difficult to see when he's far from the board. So what I did was, I identified the child. At first I didn't know, so I used to think he was lazy. So after finding out, I brought him in front, and then it's like he was still not all that okay. So I contacted the parents, and then they provided reading glasses for him, and it really helped him a lot.
Yes.
What I would say on that is there should be a relationship between the teacher and then the parents. They should cooperate so that teachers will know how learners are, and then the parents will also know their performance in school, so that when they come together, I think they can support to develop the child.
Okay.
I think I agree with what Mr. Said said, because we should know their health-related problems or challenges. When we are admitted, we should create an avenue so that the parents will tell us their health-related problems before we admit those children, so that we wouldn't find it difficult in identifying children of that nature.
I think all in all, the most important thing is identifying the kind of students you are dealing with, and then you now find the best strategies to use. Let's say if you are able to identify those who learn best with visuals, those who learn best with listening, you blend all these strategies, because in one class you can have all these students. So how to manage this class, you can now know the best strategies. Example, with those who learn best with visuals, you can bring in teaching materials like graphics, pictures, colors, and then in that same particular lesson, You can also have audios. If you, the teacher, cannot, due to financial issues, you can't get those audio aids, you can make your voice audible, loud enough for those who listen best when learning.
Some people also learn through associations. We call them social learners. They always want to learn with their peers. They find it easier. So you have to group them so that they will be able to get the concept very well.
Yeah, example, you can put them in groups to discuss about a topic or a problem.
I'm having one problem in my class. There is a student in my class who don't want to be with the others in order to learn.
Okay.
It means such a child is a solitary learner.
Yeah.
So you need to handle that child to different
Thank you.
Maybe using individual tasks.
Let me
so they
find
work
out.
Independent.
Do you normally have screening exercise in your schools that will help you be able to determine the health status of the children?
Yes, sometimes in my school, Minister of Health comes occasionally, and then they try to identify those children, especially those with vision impairment. They identify them, and also girls. They give girls folic acids, and they tell us it cleans their blood.
Very good. I think we've talked so much on how the school can promote or the teachers can help in ensuring that at least we really have learning different for everybody or everyone. But what of at home? How do parents or caregivers get themselves involved in promoting learning by adopting certain strategies in their homes?
I think that one will be very easy because since the parents are always with the children, provided that the parents have time for their kids, and because they are always with them and then they know them better than the teachers would.
I think the parents, as Madam said, identifying them is one, and then also trying to contact teachers to send them to appropriate places, because there are some challenges or disabilities which they cannot manage unless they send them to the medical places where they can get education for them.
I think always sitting with the children, discussing issue with the children will enable you to identify the problems or the weaknesses of the child. And when the parent identifies the weaknesses, he will be able to, if even he himself cannot do it, he will call on some people to help him, maybe for the child able to acquire what he or she needs. And
will you agree or disagree that parents really have time for their works regarding such observations or health needs of these children?
I will say yes, because in my community there is one girl who is in basic 6. The parents identify her as being epileptic. So when I went there, they told me the situation of the child. So fortunately on the part of them, a nurse teacher called one of our teachers. In the conversation, the nurse overheard the problem of the child. So the nurse told the teacher that the teacher should tell the parents to bring the ward to hospital on Wednesday so that she could assist in getting treatment or medication for that child.
And I would say no, because for what I have observed, some little number of parents always have time for the children. Much of the parents don't have time. And whenever you trace up, they will say they have many work to work at some places. So
they have
because of that,
to do.
They don't have much time for the children.
Okay.
I think Mr. Awa is right. And sometimes they don't even put in much effort to see to it that the problem is solved. So a little problem, maybe the health problem, they will just sit back and then allow the child to go waste. Let me put it that way. Because at Pessoa there is one boy. No, I didn't even know what the problem is, but the time we came to the school, that boy was already out of school. So, but always he would come to the school to play with the children. So I asked, and they say he was a learner here.
Oh, okay.
That's and they are saying that he's epileptic.
Okay.
But I've never seen seen it happen. So it means that the child could still stay in school Obviously, so that maybe the teachers will help managing that, but they just let the child drop. Yeah,
I last asked the guy, and he said that willingly he want to come to school, but the mother said no. That the mother don't want the child to fall inside the class, and it will look like a disgrace for the family.
But he's always in school, because even last week he went and brought brooms and was distributing to the students in the school.
Wow.
They were just rushing.
I see.
Okay, so Alaji, I will say yes. Some parents do help a lot in having time for their kids. So I disagree with Mr. Said.
It's only a few.
Even though you have a point to explain your point.
Educated.
The reason why I'm saying this is, in my class, for instance, I used to have a boy who sits at one corner. So whenever I'm teaching, all the colleagues will be contributing and then giving their ideas. Then I'll call this boy, mention his name. He'll be looking at me all right. But when I ask him a question, he'll be quiet. So I felt like he doesn't like talking. He doesn't want to share his ideas. But I was wrong. Not knowing he was having difficulty in hearing, until one day the mother came to the school. She normally comes to the school to find out how her kids are doing in school. So when she came, I was in class. And then she told me, I came to visit you, and then my ward, so and so. And then she mentioned the boys, and I said, your boy, he doesn't like talking. Is it that in the house there is a problem or anything? Just tell me. So the woman now told me what the child is facing. Then I was now like, oh. So some parents do have time for their kids. Yes.
But other parents attribute that to superstitious beliefs of the epileptic girl I'm talking of. We had a hard time explaining to the parent to agree and then send the child, because he was attributing it to superstition. They have worked on her. So
mostly in the deprived areas.
So briefly, let's look at the impact in terms of some parents not having attention to children in order to detect their health needs. What happens?
Sometimes such learners, as Awal was saying, the girl dropped out of school because they didn't agree that she should go to school and disgrace herself, and in the long run it will have impact on the parents. They denied her of education, so I think it's an impact to these children.
And it made the teachers face a lot. Yes. Because as they are in different homes, and the parent did not give you any information about the child. So if the parent does not give you the information about the child, you might not know how the child behaves. And whenever, like Madam Humo said, whenever you are teaching, you might not know the child is also not getting what you are saying. And if the parent assists by reporting such cases to the teachers, maybe they will help us to make the teaching and learning.
I think you are right, because I have a son who is now 15 years. When he was a lower primary, he always came home complaining that the teacher caned him. He doesn't want to talk. So I decided one day to go, and however, it's a private school. So when I went, I explained to the teacher that my son is a stammerer. So when you ask him questions, it becomes difficult. When he wants to talk, he cannot talk at that moment. Especially the cane you are using on him. He can't talk. So if you have little time for him, though he can explain, but because he cannot talk, and looking at that long cane, he becomes afraid, and stammerers, you find it very difficult to talk when you are under pressure.
Our time is almost up. In 30 seconds, what will you tell the parents?
Elijah, what I would say is that parents need to have time for their children's health needs. Because if they don't, it may affect them for life. Maybe minor cases that could be treated could degenerate into chronic diseases.
That's right.
So I think parents need to have time for their children's health.
So just like Master said, the example I gave in my class, assuming the parent didn't come to inform me about the problem of the child, I would think the child is lazy and he'll be lagging behind. So I think if parents are able to identify their case and then also sometimes do follow up, it will really help a lot.
I think we as teachers should also try to use variety of learning strategies to cater for those various types of children or learners we have in our classrooms.
Good.
There must be some collaboration between the teachers and the parents, enable us to have learning and teaching successfully.
Good. Thank you very much. We have come to the end of our discussion. Very interesting. And we hope next week when we meet again, we'll look at another topic and continue with our discussion. Thank you for making yourself available.
Thank you. too.
Teach to Teach Radio. Teach to Teach Radio. Education for all, for all.